We're going up and down, over and over, over and over. It's the same old thing. Up and down, over and under.
Well, first off, Gunnar, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm always excited when you get the request. You're like, really? All right, let's do it. And then people go, really? You'll do it? I go, yeah. Why wouldn't I? Let's go. What do you got? If you're getting good information out and you're trying to make the world a better place, I want to be a part of that. I want to tag along.
No, I appreciate that. Well, I was going to bring this up, and maybe I'll start with this. One of the things that I felt comes through in all the videos I've watched, the reading I've done, just any sort of prep work I could do for this.
Are you going to share? Are you going to really share what you see in all the videos you watch? Oh, my videos.
No, yeah, your videos, exactly.
Well, just share. Yeah. Like, you got a family, man. Don't put that out there like that.
I know. I don't need the FBI knocking down my door.
Correct.
Your humility, it comes through, and I don't mean to put you on the spot from the get-go, but I mean, you like you just said, right? If someone reaches out to you, says they want to do a podcast, you're like, absolutely. If you're trying to help the world, I'm happy to help as well. And so, I would think a lot of people have a perspective of what LA is. They would have an idea of the type of individual that would thrive in that environment. And you seem that like you would be comfortable in any walk of life. And it's just there's a real authenticity there that I think comes through in at least everything that I've seen.
I was, that thing, couple things. I know where I'm from. I know who I'm from. I know my background. I know my family. I know there's that line, what's right, what's wrong. Will I toe that line? Will I cross it? Where you'll go. There's just certain things you do and you don't do. And if you have clear sight of that, if that's formatted in your brain, then I think you screw up less and less. And I think as you get older, those lines become less blurred, and hopefully you make better decisions then. When you hear about the guy who's whatever age and he's still doing XYZ, that you go, I used to do that, but I was 20. Right. And you're going, how is that guy doing? I look at those people, I go, how is that guy still doing? Like, it's okay if you're 20, kind of, sort of. How is that guy still doing that now? So I know what I'm about, and I know where I'll go and where I won't. So it's not hard to do. As far as humility goes, I come from like rock solid family. My parents, my brother, the work ethic, the communication, it's all there. And then go closer to home, in my home, my wife, my kids, there's tremendous communication. There's respect. There's, we address things that aren't, if something's not 100%, we knock, hey, here's a problem. I want to address this. I text my kids 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I don't care. And I say, when you wake up, call me. And I always write all good unless it's a problem. And if I don't, I just write, when you wake up, call me. And then they're like, Dad, what's going on? And so if you know what you're about and you communicate and you're operating from a place of being impeccable with your word, if I'm going to borrow from the 4 agreements, that kind of thing, then you shouldn't have a problem. As far as humility goes, it's that great speech from where did Arnold deliver that speech at some university, some graduating class? He's like, right? Nobody's self-made. You're not self-made. Stop right now. You are not self-made. And I'm not going to paraphrase him, but I'm not self-made. So why wouldn't there be humility? I didn't get here by myself. I didn't get here. I didn't get here today. I didn't get home by myself. Like you can't do it by yourself. Whether you think you are and you're a hero and you're going to beat your chest, no problem. I'm not going to beat mine, because if I dig a little deeper and look a little bit beneath the surface, I got a hand here. I got some help here. Somebody pushed this. Somebody helped with that. And you have to realize I didn't get here alone.
Yeah. No, and I think there's a lot of self-awareness, and I love to read, and so whether it's looking at sports figures like Bill Walsh, or I'm a Seattle guy originally, so I love Pete Carroll. One of the things that seems consistent when you talk to folks who've had some high degree of success in whatever their pursuit is, they have those like core
and make sure we're understanding that doesn't necessarily mean financial.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like to make that, because there are a lot of people who are freakish. I had a discussion yesterday with somebody about educators and how do I think that the private schools have are the schools, do they cost more? Do the teachers get paid more because those teachers are better? And I said, I don't know that you can. I know you can't say that in broad strokes. I don't think you can say that. I think it's like attorneys, right? And I know we don't want to compare the two because some people think of educators as the highest and attorneys just as, scumbags. I look at it like, if you're a public defender, is that better than a defense attorney? And are you a better attorney if you're a defense attorney? I don't think so. I think it's where you channel yourself. So you may have some of the best educators in the world in public schools in places that you wouldn't think they would be there, because they're trying to uplift and they're trying to do better, and they may not be compensated financially, but they're rewarded in different ways, and they would choose that job 10 times out of 10. So just make sure when you say success, it's not always attached at the hip to financial.
No, and I think that's a good distinction. And I think, there's probably a large number of people who have achieved financial success, and they come to find that like that's not what's going to be fulfilling, right? I think everyone's sort of like golden handcuffs. You can create financial success to a point where it can actually trap you.
Right, and some people say, someone once said to me, "You think that." How did they say? You think money equals happiness? You think money buys you happiness? I said, no, I don't. I think money buys you the freedom. And there are a lot of conditionals in this sentence, so stay with me. I think money buys you the freedom to pursue what you think might make you happy. And then if you have enough money and that thing doesn't make you happy, more of that money allows you the freedom to back out and course correct and try to find something else that might make you happy. The money itself doesn't necessarily make you happy, but it gives you the freedom to pursue the things that might make you happy, or that you've convinced yourself will make you happy. And then it's up to you to pursue them and then say, wow, it did, or it did not. And I need to find another way. But that's all to me. The money just facilitates.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel, at this point in my life, right. And I have 3 kids. I know you have 5. So I almost feel like I'm, I don't even have a leg to stand on here in this conversation in terms of parenting responsibilids.
Too many jokes there with legs, so just keep it moving. Keep it moving. Nothing to see here.
But for me, it's now about, man, how do I get more freedom of time, like you mentioned?
Sure.
And for me, a lot of my financial goals are now aligned to, man, how do I buy myself the opportunity where I can start to take more control over the time that I do have and spend it with the people I care about and the projects I'm passionate about?
Yeah, my brother put it in a great perspective. He's a very successful businessman, maybe the smartest guy I've ever met, not to mention well-read and educated. And there's a difference between smart and well-read and educated, right? 3 different categories.
Absolutely.
He's on the podium in all 3. And he said time, and he works in the commodities industry. So even more telling, he said it's the only commodity we can't create more of. And right. So what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? The hourglass is running.
I had a summer school Spanish teacher who once told me, you can always make more money, but you can never get your time back. Yeah. And that stuck with me, not the Spanish.
Right. Ouch.
So let me ask you a question. I think from the outside looking in, for most people, right, there's a number of titles associated with your name. And maybe we can even talk about how you feel about some of them. But yeah, I mean, you've literally been named, the top personal trainer in the world. I guess for you,
who'd you call my mom?
Yeah, I called you.
Okay, that's fair. Fair.
But for you, what does success look like?
That.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. But for you, I mean, you've already kind of like made the point, like, hey, let's stop this right here and be really clear about what success means and the measuring stick we're using. For you at this point in your life, I guess, how do you measure success? And speaking specifically to where you're at in life, like how are you knowing that you're checking the boxes on what you want to do and who you want to be? And not to get too deep, but I feel like we kind of went there.
Yeah, you went there. You look at, I don't know. It's funny. Are you able at the end of the day to say it was a good day? I wake up saying it's a good day. You wake up, it's a good day, right? Try not waking up one day. That's not a good day. So you wake up, it's a good day. And then how it unfolds, and for me, that's largely that plays out largely due to the way I've prepared for it. I'm a big prep guy. I wasn't so much in school. I was a last minute guy. I just had this conversation with my mom yesterday. I was the pack right before the flight, get to the airport and have to talk to the person at the check-in to allow me, even though the gates closed. And, it was that guy. I'm not that guy anymore. I'm packed 2 days ahead of time. I get to the airport, I roll around, I got time. Same with my workouts. I write my workouts the night before. I get to the gym very early. They're all printed out. It's just I ease into it, and then I can really focus on the execution of the prep, right? College would have been a lot easier had I done it that way, but I didn't.
Yeah,
So whatever, slow learner, late bloomer, I wear those hats. So then at the end of the day, did you do what you set out to do? And I will go through my phone. I know you're not supposed to look at your devices, an hour before bed, and I understand. Sorry, I'm working on it, but I will go through, and anything I didn't respond to, or I didn't, I pinned or I left unread, I will write back and say, sorry, I didn't get to this. Day got ahead of me. I'll hit you tomorrow. And I'll follow up on those. And I try to have as few of those as possible. And you had a good day because you planned it out, you executed. The boxes that you're checking really are, did I do good work? Did I do my best? Did I honor my word? Did I have quality time with my wife? Did I have quality time with my kids? Was I good to my body? Did I get my workout in? Did I fuel properly? And I know that kills the romance with food and whatever, but if you eat like that, I know that spills over into, for me anyway, that spills over into performance on every single level, level of patience, level of fatigue, strength, aches and pains in joints. I know what I eat can directly be tied to that. So that's how I measure success. How I measure, did I have a good day? Did I do things right today? Is this quality? Am I being successful?
Yeah. Well, and you said something there too. And in reading up on just your schedule, it's insane to me that you're getting up at 3:45 in the morning. So
but time out.
Yes.
Before anybody
Okay. Here's what I want to hear. Yeah, go for it. No, go for it.
Before anybody, there's nothing heroic about that. And people ask me, I don't walk around going, guess what time I get up? I don't do that. I get up when I get up because that serves me best. I can accomplish more and do more. The only time that's heroic is if you go to bed at midnight every night. But
that's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah.
No, so if you're going to bed at, I'm not going to say 7:30, but I just did. But if you're going to bed at 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can still make that. If you're going to bed at 10, 10:15, and 10 and 10:15 to me are worlds of difference if you're getting up at 3:45. 11, you can do it. You can make it work. But if your bedtime goes, like let's say Sunday night, right? The stress day before the week. If I go to bed at 11 on Sunday, I'm probably not going to feel good till Thursday. That's really just how it works, right? I'm setting myself. But if I go to bed Sunday early, Monday relatively early, Tuesday relatively early, Wednesday I cut it short, Thursday I push, and that's when my 11 is. I can make it through the week.
And but is it accurate?
It's not heroic. It's not heroic to get up early. Big deal. There are a lot of people that get up early. Look at all the people who work at the airport. Look at all the people driving buses. Look at all the people delivering packages. There's so many people who get up early. There's a whole nother world working on that end of the clock.
It's incredible. Yeah. And I love thinking about that too. And so is it accurate to say, because there are, those personalities who are very vocal about how early they get up and they talk about the 4 hours, but for you, like some of the stuff that I've already heard, it's about optimizing. So you're basically shifting everything forward, right? Is that the right way? Like you're just getting to bed earlier so that waking up at 3:45 is feasible. You're still well rested.
See, I'll tell you when it's tough. If we take a trip, let's say East Coast, that's tough. But if we take a trip, even Central Time Zone to Nashville, and you get in at a certain time and you end up going to bed at 11, right? Even though that's 9, when you go to get up at 5 there, if I want to hit the gym before we're doing whatever we're doing as a family, that's 3. My body's going, hey, it's 3. What are we doing? We have 45 more minutes. So then it's not that it's heroic, but then it's tougher. But it's not insurmountable. My God, there's so many people. My line, and I said this actually on the phone again with my mom today. She's 83, so I call her every day, sharp as a tack. And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry that was tough today," or "Oh, you must have been a hard day today," or something. And I go, "Mom, a lot hotter hells than mine. There are a lot hotter hells than mine. And she just pauses and she goes, yes, there are, sweetheart.
Yeah.
So as long as you keep that perspective, there are a lot worse lives than this. I have zero problems, zero complaints.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, for you, obviously, I know that you have a ton on your plate, but why is
by choice?
Yeah, okay, so, yeah.
The people who complain, I'm busy. Oh my God, I'm so busy. I'm swamped. I'm buried, man. Like, you can't court it, nurture it, and then be pissed that it's happening to you. You sound like a fool. You sound like a fool. You do 100 cold calls and then you have, you get 40 calls back and you're like, dude, I got 40 calls to return. Like, you put 100 calls out. What did you hope for? 2?
Right.
So I'm happy.
You know what was funny too about living through this whole pandemic is the same people that were saying there was not enough time in the day, too busy, overworked, were the same ones to be vocal about I got nothing going on.
I don't have time to exercise. Hey, guess what?
Hey, you got all the time.
Here's a shit ton of time, man. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I hear you. So much of that is, like you said, perspective. But, kind of, I guess, along those lines, by however you want to measure your success, you are one of the most well-regarded trainers, strength and conditioning coaches in the US, in the world. I guess, from your perspective, what is it that has set you apart over the course of your career?
It's, I think you just don't quit, right? It's like, how do you become a Navy SEAL? You don't want to become a SEAL. You have to become a SEAL. You don't quit. That's it. You can't, unless you're medically discharged, you're not out if you don't quit. So I just don't stop. There's nothing stopping me. I'm not going to quit. You might be better than me. You might be stronger than me. You might know more than me. You may have more degrees than me. I'll never stop. I'll never tap out. I'm just not, I'll take the extra person. I'll work the holiday. I'll travel to the place and hunker down. And I just will. I will. I don't mind it. I like it. All these things are experiences. I heard a great podcast with Ed Milet and Dierks Bentley. And
love Dierks.
Yeah, love. And he said he would play these gigs where sometimes it was just him and his cousin, and they were literally like the wallpaper, like people didn't even know, and they just play for tips. And then somebody would say the next day, hey, there's another little gig, you want to go? And he'd go, yeah, I just want to play. And he would do it. And Ed said to him, see, that's the difference, is there are guys who will do it once or twice, but then they're not going to go back. They go, that didn't turn, I netted nothing from that. No, right. I didn't get a bigger job from that. I didn't get a bigger paycheck. No one offered me a record deal from that, but you just kept doing them because you love doing them. I'm the same way with the training. Yeah, I'll make it. Let's go. Let's make it work. What day? Yeah. Oh, I started this. I'll go before. Can you go after? And usually what you find out is the person doesn't want it as much as I'm willing to do it. That's what happens. And I mean, you're not blaming them. That's just how they see their schedule. I really want to do this. I really want to do this. And I go, okay, can you do 5 a.m.? Yeah, bro, I get up. I got work. Same, pal. I mean, you want this or do you not want it? And I'm not saying I'm challenging you, but if that's all I have at that moment, you can't expect me to cancel someone I've had at 8 o'clock for 5 years because, you got a wild hair and want to start training, but they won't bend. So I think that I digress, but I think that the answer to your question is I just want it more. I want to do everything. I want all the experiences.
Where does that come from? Is that just innate? Is that something you were just born with? Is there a family member that is just wired the same way? I know Momma Peterson has made a big impact on the show already.
Yeah, she's the honestly best. I think my dad took every opportunity as a job came up. He took it. Whether it was my family moving from the East Coast to Houston, Texas, or moving from Houston, Texas to London to the Middle East, then they went to the Philippines, and then they went to Europe, and then they went to Argentina. It was just take the job. Just take the job. The job leads, work begets work. One door opens another door. That's just how it is. And my mom always be willing. She used to always say, my suitcase is packed. I'm ready to go. I'm ready. I'll go. My brother, same thing. He's worked. He takes, where the job takes him, he goes. There was a time when he was traveling 290 days a year. The guy's tireless, absolutely tireless. And he would do the last dinner, and he'd be the first guy up working out. And then at the early meetings, he's just tireless. So who am I to say, members of my family work like that. I don't want to be the one that they go, hey, that's the guy who doesn't work. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be on a par with them. Different job, right? I don't have to tie a tie, and I don't have to do the same. I'm not in the same business rotation that they're in, but I want to be that. And I want to take, and this is another thing about training. I took early on, and I still take the training seriously, and I treat it like a job. I treat it like a job. There's a start time. There's an end time. There's a way you approach. There's a way you close out. There's a system to opening up the gym, shutting down the gym, prepping the workout, finishing the workout. It's like a good play, right? Beginning, middle, end.
Yeah. And that's true. That's true for all your athletes that you're working with. And I know you work with a wide variety of people. I
have a guy now who's a baseball pitcher. He's about to return, right? We're early February. He's going back any day now. And we've shifted his stuff to more conditioning specific. It's less of the heavier lifts. It's less of that. And it's morphed into more conditioning stuff. He's still wrecked when he leaves because he wants that, but he's wrecked in a different way. And that's how we decided to, he requested it, and we walked through why and what he's done in the past that has worked, what he's done in the past that has not worked. And this is what we came up with. So there is a system to it. It's a different system than an NBA guy that I may have, or than a boxer that I may have, but it's a system nonetheless.
And I feel like, whether you're working with, to your point, like top tier athletes, or you're working with some of these actors who are maybe preparing for a role, I have to imagine in a lot of cases, you have a really finite objective for these guys, and gals, but you probably have a short amount of time to get it done, right? It's not like, I wouldn't imagine you get to have most of your clients consistently over the course of the year. It's probably being fit in an off season maybe, or it's fit in between some sort of like filming schedule. What is your sort of process for kind of assessing the difference between where they are at that moment and how you're going to get them to where they need to be?
Well, you're right in that there is a natural ebb and flow to the client base throughout the year. This is, as you know, it's a transient town. People come in, they come out, people's riches rise, people's riches fall. They are here, like you said, for an off season, then they're gone, or they're here before a role, or they contract you and contact you for a role. Then maybe they bring you along for the role, or maybe they don't, or maybe they don't bring you along for the role, but then they pick it up when they return. So there's an ebb and a flow to all of that. As far as putting it together for them, you have to factor in what they see, so they're heard, and you address not their concerns, but their hopes, their dreams, their fears kind of thing. It's going to suck this bad, but not that bad. This is why it's going to be great and why it's worth it. Then you look at their approach, because a lot of them come in with a preconceived notion of what a training regimen looks like. And you go, okay, I hear that, I feel that. Or if that's what you've done, okay, it hasn't yielded the results you want, but are you sure you want to continue doing the same thing? I don't want to follow any other program you're on, unless it's an athlete coming from a team and I've spoken with their strength coach directly. I'll say, and I've had back in the day, before I was with the Lakers, I had a guy come to me and he literally came to my gym. I was going to train their top guy in the off season, and he brought me their off season training program, and he started going through it, and then he kind of closed it and he threw it. He goes, gee, take a look at that. I mean, you know what you're doing. This is just what we're doing. If you can use any of that, use it, but if not, do your thing. And it was such a respectful way of handling it for, at the time, I think I'd been in this 25 years. So thank you. Yeah. But you got to factor in what they want. Then you factor in what they need. Then you factor in what you see and how to communicate to them. I see this, which is why I think we need this, and this is how I would approach it. Then you make sure we're all on the same pages, because not many people really like surprises. And then you show them how you're going to put this together, and how, not that you peek around corners, but you definitely show them how it's going to unfold over the course of the foreseeable future.
I'm telling you right now. So I'm in sales. I work in tech. I mean, we could just chop that up and pass that around to the sales teams. Like that is like sales 101. And I love that that's kind of where this conversation went. Like it's, about instilling confidence, getting them comfortable, listening, and then showing them the vision that.
But the difference is in sales, ultimately, you're going to hoodwink them and screw them over. I'm not trying
come on. Come on. My boss is like, well, and you blew it.
Yeah. No, but you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, and I will say this to them, like I'll say I'm on, the person's name is John. And I'll go, remember when he balks at something, I'll go, hey, I'm on Team John. Remember that I'm on your team. I'm here for you. I get zero out of this. You're already in this with me. We're in lockstep. So what we're doing is only solely for you. I get, you can't, as a strength coach, you can't really take the credit, but you also really can't take the blame. And I know there's some people, you can take that blame if you injure the guy. Do you really injure the guy? I mean, if I get it, if I smash him over the head with a barbell, yes, I've injured him. But it's really
there's clear cause and effect.
Was my exercise prescription over the course of the off season what led him to tear his ACL? Well, I don't know. I think you'd be hard pressed to prove that, especially because I'm pretty thorough with the prep. I have a history of this. I don't know if if the strength guy is really always to blame. A lot of time they're the lowest on the totem pole, so take your shot. But strength coaches come, especially nowadays, especially in the pros, with and college too, with so many certifications and so many case studies behind them, and they're so diligent with what they learn. And there's the field has improved so much since I started, right? In terms of levels of certification, continuing education. Guys and girls really know a lot. Like they are deep into this, and they live and breathe this stuff. So their exercise prescription, it's a lot less hokey nowadays. If anything, it skews more to the safe and sound than it does to the, hey, sit on this stability ball and hold a 100-pound dumbbell in the right hand fully extended, and then bounce this tennis ball while that kind of stuff is, you don't see that like you used to. When functional training that term was first kicked around, a lot of it looked like circus tryouts, and you just don't see that as much anymore. I see a lot, like I've been in a ton of professional strength rooms and strength, like weight rooms and strength and conditioning departments, and seeing these guys. They are so damn good, all of them across the board. They're just really solid at what they do.
Yeah. Well, and how would you define your approach to strength and conditioning? Because I'm not trying to put you in a box or say like, oh, this is my system that I leverage. But functional training is what comes to mind. And now, granted, I only see what you put out, right? And that, whether that's social media or videos that you've done, but very rarely is it just your standard diet of traditional back squat. Everything does seem to have like a purpose in that it reflects either sport or movement. And it seems to kind of uniquely in your own way be very innovative from the outside looking in. But how do you think about it?
So it's not, what I post is, you hit this. It's a fraction of what we do, right? And if I posted back squats all day, you'd go, oh, this clown. And you just keep scrolling. Like, people know back squats. And I think there are people who post better back squats or more impressive back squats or more structurally sound or just better. I don't know. There are people doing that. I don't need to do that, but I can post a different type or a new twist on an old standard. Again, not just to be the new twist or not to be not form over substance. I'm not that guy. I want to give you something I just recorded something the other day, and the way we shot it doesn't illustrate what it is, but it's a rear lunge with a sandbag rotation. And as you come up with the opposite knee that drives up, as you drive up into the sandbag. So there's a core engagement. There's different stressor on your hip flexor, and it's just a different move. And we started doing this, and people are like, I feel so much core when I do this. And I thought, I thought we should post that. That's not to say that you shouldn't do a regular rear lunge, that you shouldn't do an axial loaded rear lunge, that you shouldn't do the rear lunge with just a sandbag, that you shouldn't do it with just a dumbbell, that you shouldn't rotate. You should do all those things. But this is another thing to add or to incorporate or to try. And that's why I post that kind of stuff. But functional training, that you brought that up. Functional for what is the first question. What is it functional for, right? Functional for a lineman is different than functional for a wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
Functional for a boxer is different than functional for an NBA center. So what are we looking at? Functional for a mother of a stay-at-home mom at 3 is different than functional for a weekend warrior dad who is 30 pounds overweight. So you got to look at what is the function that what are we serving to improve the function of, and then you break it down and do the program that way.
Yeah. So, how much, and like I said, and I didn't mean to make the show about your Instagram all of a sudden.
I don't care.
But no,
I'm wide open. I told you that at the beginning. Whatever you want to talk about.
I appreciate it, man. I
can back it all up.
All good. Well, no, and here's what I love though, is I love, one, to see like an innovative approach, a new way to create, I imagine, like a stimulus or to throw someone off balance or to challenge something neurologically or physically in a different way, which I think is really exciting. How much of that type of training are you incorporating, like, let's say with like your top tier athletes? Because I imagine at some point, go ahead.
So that depends where you are in their macro cycle, right? Like where are we in the off season? Where are we in the season? Where are we just after the season? I mean, all those and each guy, some guys need more or girls, some need more than others. Some want basic this. Last year with the Lakers, JaVale McGee was, some people say, is he the only guy you train? You post about him all the time. First of all, I only repost. I don't post people who train with me. I only repost their stuff. I think that's just how I do it. And I think that's respectful. And I think once somebody posts it, it's fair game to repost. I don't post it. So you're not name dropping, not flaunting. Yeah. I'm not trying to do that. I sometimes I want to, I say, God, I wish we were videoing this. It's so great. Or I'll video for them and then they won't post it. Why didn't they post it? They looked great. The movement was great. The strength was great. That's such an easy post, but they just don't. And you have to respect that. But, JaVale would train and he was probably most consistent on the team. I mean, he's just a beast. He was always in there. And on game days, we had a very specific pregame workout. We had post-game certain days, depending on how he performed, he would look behind the bench at me and go like this, like we're lifting after the game. It's like, and we would push. And I'm like, dude, we lifted after shoot around this morning. You did the pregame thing. Really? But let's go. So then you have to see how you're going to break that down. JaVale's 7'1", 7'2", whatever he is. You got to train him a certain way. He has to do certain things. You have to change. How are you going to hit the body if you're training that frequently so you don't, overtrain? And I use that in air quotes because I believe more in under-recovering than overtraining. The body can take a lot. So you have to make it so that so that he can play his best game starting at the next tip-off, right? That's the goal. So work it backwards from there. Everything we do in the weight room has to service everything we do outside of the weight room, period. It should make everything you do outside better. If it doesn't, the programming is flawed.
Yeah.
Or you need to change what you're doing outside. And
that makes sense.
And that goes for an athlete. That goes for the weekend warrior. That goes for the stay-at-home parent. That goes for the kid in school. I can't have a kid who comes and trains after school and he's so exhausted from the training that he misses his alarm and sleeps through a social studies exam. That's the training. The training's not servicing that kid. That's you can't train him like that.
Yeah. Well, actually, and that's maybe a topic worth diving into. Can you expand a little bit on what you meant by under recovery versus what most people would refer to as overtraining? And I guess maybe they're different things, but
yeah. So I used to joke and say that the only two groups of people who really overtrain or who are at risk of overtraining are Olympic hopefuls or galley slaves. And you go, most other people just under recover. You're either not allowing your body enough downtime between bouts of exercise or bouts of competition. You're underfeeding, you're underhydrating, you're under supplementing, you're not managing your stress levels. Your sleep is either inadequate or poor quality. You're not getting body work, whether it's massage, cryo, acupuncture, chiro, osteo, whatever it is you do. So somewhere along the line, if you could improve on all that, you could probably take the training loads that you're imposing on yourself.
Hmm.
Yes, there are people who do it. So I'm not saying you're not overtraining. I'm saying as a rule, a lot of people, I don't want to overtrain. You're like, relax. You won't. I don't
You
want
got
to
a
get.
lot more in the tank before we get there.
I don't want to get too big. Relax. You won't. It's just. I can't hear that. You're not going to get too big. Well, this is heavy weight. Is this going to make me big? Not from these 8 reps. It's not. It's not. But if you don't, am I going to hurt my back with this? Probably not. But if you don't sleep and you don't eat and then you come in and do it again and your body's not ready to bear the load, it might. But I don't look at that as that's because that 8 rep set you got hurt. I look at it because what led up to it you weren't ready for.
Yeah.
So
How and I imagine it's different with your elite athletes versus folks who are, in the general population, but what are you looking for when you're deciding, hey, it's time to back off for this guy a little bit, or hey, this guy's really starting to push it now. We need to dial it back for a couple of days, let her recover. Is that for you? I mean, I know that you've been in the industry a long time. Is it just you can see
another old reference?
God damn it!
God
so you know what?
Damn it!
When I started saying it, I was like, "Oh man, he's gonna knock this one out of the park."
I had 2 guys today, one former pro athlete and another guy who's an actor, and they were training together, and they were mumbling something over here, and I go, "What'd you say?" And he goes, "We were just looking at you, wondering how fucking old are you?" And I go, "Do you want to go?" I go, I don't have my AARP card yet. I'm not opposed to it, but do you know what I've done since while you were blowing bubbles in your sleep? I ran for an hour, I lifted, I stretched, and I've seen 3 people before you moseyed into the gym today. So you can call me out all day, but if you want to do this, get on my level.
Right. You damn young whippersnappers. Don't
There you go.
Anybody.
What a great word from the 50s.
Oh man, I got them for days. But yeah, so
those terms are as old as your house.
Yeah, exactly. We should do another podcast where my wife tells ghost stories, which I refuse to acknowledge are real. However, moving back. So with that under recovery piece, because there are a lot of people, and I think there is more general awareness around the need to take care of ourselves, sleep, hydration. We had a guy on, Patrick McCown.
Here, watch this, and you can run with this. Sleep is the greatest extra workout you can do.
Oh, I love it.
I just made it up, but I'm going to try to put it. I'm going to try to put it in the capsule for people. Some days you're better not jamming another workout into your week. You're better getting an extra hour of sleep. Dude, you're burning it. Lady, you're burning it at both ends. Take a minute, take a load off. I mean that.
Yeah.
Take the extra. If you've got your 4 workouts planned, let's say this week, and all of a sudden your Friday morning meeting frees up and you go, oh, I could get another 6-mile run in. Hold on, Bubba.
Right.
You've got the whole week going. Why don't you sleep in a little bit? Why don't you get a massage the night before and sleep in? I'll try that. All your other workouts might benefit incrementally from that. Maybe.
So, you know what's interesting? And again, this is like a sample size of 1, and it's a very small sample size at that.
Focus group. I would say focus group of 1, but this is it's all I got.
Exactly. Yeah. That's all I'm working with out here in the boondocks. But, I've started meditating. So we have had a number of people on the show who've talked about mindfulness and the benefits. So it's like, as I've kind of that's kind of where part of the show was born, was trying to get my life better optimized, because as I've had more responsibility put on my plate, cracks started to show in areas where I didn't know they existed. Right now I have a wife, I have kids, and all of a sudden all these things I could just kind of power through. Well, it started breaking down a little bit. So it's like, okay, I kind of need to readdress all these areas of my life. And over the course of doing this show, we've had some fantastic people on to talk about mindfulness, meditation. And I was like, I'm going to double down. That's one of the things I'm going to do in this new year. And I'm going to meditate at least once a day with Headspace. Yeah.
Headspace. And Andy, that's my guy.
Oh, the best voice in the biz. Do you know him personally?
Yeah, of course I do. He spoke at the Lakers to us. And then when I did that podcast that I hosted for Hugo Boss a year and a half ago, he was one of the guests that came, and he just walked in. He's like, Gunnar, and he's the greatest.
Awesome.
And the voice belies, as great as the voice is, he's that great of a guy. Great.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
great guy.
Man. Yeah, he's been living in my headphones now for a while. But
there you go.
But yeah, well, so what I was going to say though, to your point, like, yeah, incrementally over time, but I've just had something happen where I was at the end of one of my little, cycles, and it was gonna be my really tough one. I have a very specific goal that I'm training for, and I was supposed to be really beat up on this day. And at the end of that little 3-week cycle, I crushed my own like personal record, and I was like, man, what? I didn't really do anything differently, other than the fact that my stress level has definitely been down for the last, month.
Which means on a physiological level, right, that your cortisol levels are down.
Right.
Your body, so your body can recover and repair and present itself with more fortitude, more strength, it's more ready to go the next time you turn it on.
Yeah, right. I mean, so what it seems.
By doing less, you did more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how long were you doing? Were you doing like the 10-minute ones on Headspace?
Yeah. I you know what? I was like most things in my life, when I dive in, I dive in pretty hardcore. So I was doing 2 20-minute or 15-minute sessions a day. I do get up pretty early myself, I'm not 3:45, but I'm 5:30. And so if I can knock it out before the kids are up, I mean, my whole day is set.
Yeah.
They're going to get
I'm that way with my workout. If I can knock out the workout early, people go, why do you train so early? I go, basic math. Less people awake, less people to interrupt. It's simple. It's just my phone will ring less. I'll have less texts. I'll have less emails. And then if they do trickle in, I can knock them out easy, as opposed to a deluge of things I have to handle and respond. So I do it when everybody else is asleep. It's easier.
I completely agree. Well, and let me ask you this. This is something I've tried to read up on, and I still don't feel like I have a good grasp on it. But a lot of people, especially those who listen to the show, like they have a 9-to-5 job. Whether they're a weekend warrior or they're someone really crazy about their fitness, they do, like you, get their workouts in the morning.
Great.
What is the best way to set yourself up for success if you are someone who's going to work out in the morning? And I guess what I'm asking is, like, do you eat before you work out? Do you supplement in some way? Like, from a physiological level, is there a way that someone can best set themselves up to get the most out of an early morning workout?
So I don't think the early morning workout is for everybody. I think you have to, that's a trial and error thing. Some people do better at the midday workout. They knock out X amount of work, and even if they're in a corporate setting, they change. There's a locker room. They use the corporate gym, or they step out and they do a run, and then they come back in and they feel reinvigorated to tackle the afternoon. Some people are an after work people. Some people think, well, because I'm working, I can only go after work. No, you can't. I mean, there are other times. So I would say trial and error that, because what works for you, and I've done it at all different times around the clock. So I know what works for me. And I think, and by working, I mean, what time do you pick to train that you are less likely to blow it off? That's how I view a successful training program. That said, then you work backwards from there. How do I fuel properly? How do I make sure that I get the most out of the time I'm putting my training? I mean, if I'm training, but I'm not, recovered or haven't fueled or hydrated properly, you're leaving performance on the table. And then it's kind of like, why? This is maybe not the best time for me. I've done it a million different ways. I've done it, air quotes, carb loading at night, which just means eating too much pasta or rice or something. I'm carb loading.
I was carb loading for the first 25 years of my life.
Yeah, same. I got it. I'm with you. But then I did, fasted. I've done fasted. My nutritionist is a guy named Dr. Philip Golia, PSC Nutrition in Santa Monica, not to plug him, but just so someone else is responsible for what I'm about to say. And he's like, why do you do that? You leave performance on the table. If you're training fasted, you never, the way you train, maybe it's just the way I train, you never have enough gas in the tank. So he said, you should try this mash. And he uses I forget what it was. It was like a nut butter and a jam, and it may have had some kind of an oat something in it. And he used to do, he was a pro body. Now he's a fat bastard, and I tell him that to his face. So I'm not speaking out of school. He was a pro bodybuilder, like literally. I mean, 6 feet, 265, 3% body fat, that kind of guy.
Oh wow, yeah.
Then he was a cyclist. Then he was a race car driver. He plays guitar. He's a true, I would say, Renaissance man, but he's more like a Renaissance caveman. But he would say, you're leaving performance on the table. So I listened to him, and he said, so this MASH thing, and I try to put any prep stuff in the kitchen, it leaves me cold. I'm just not, I'm not a good kitchen guy.
Yeah.
So then he came out with a product called Split Nutrition, and it's a packet that has a nut butter, whether it's cashew, almond, or peanut, and the peanuts are washed, so there's no mold, no yeast, no gluten, and then there's a jam on the other side. So if I get it right, and I don't want to misquote it, but the fat in the nut butter slows the processing of the sugar in the jam, so you don't get the spike and then the drop off. So you have a sustained energy. And literally, if I tell you I get up at 3:45, that's in my body by 3:47. It's like I nail that, so that when I start training at 5, I'm good to go. It's in the system, and I've got something to work off of. And that's how I fuel pre-workout.
Yeah. And I just,
I have them actually in the front of my gym in a big silver monkey bowl. It's like this, and they're there and I see people come in and they just grab them, and you knead the butter a little bit, and then you fold it, rip it, and they shoot it, and they've got something in their body, and they'll say, didn't eat today. And I go, that's smart. I mean, it's like going on a road trip, didn't put any gas in the car. Here I go.
Hope it's downhill.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So, cause like you said, fasted, I wasn't intentionally working out fasted, but that's basically what I've done like the last 3 to 4 years ever since we moved out here. And now I'm like, that might not be the best approach for as serious as I'm taking some of this stuff.
I'll send you, not to plug it, but I'll send you some of the Split and try it.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
You might go, I don't know, I didn't really feel anything. Or I tell you, the peanut butter and jelly one took me back. All of a sudden I'm like, I'm 7 years old again, and I want to be on the playground. Like it's the best. I'll tell you, the best.
I will venture to say that I might eat more peanut butter than anyone else on the face of the planet. So you already had me. You had me before.
I had a contest. I had a contest that I posted with a kid on social media once. We sat toe to toe and did who could eat the most peanut butter. Yeah, it was unattractive.
I can't win.
In a word.
That's awesome. Who won? Actually,
come on, dude. Okay. Would I be talking about it if I lost? Yeah, sorry. Actually, the kid went with some natural, where the oil separates and you mix it in. Yeah. And I was like, no. I'll just bring the Jif. And I think my first bite was almost half a jar. And he looked and he goes, oh God, you might be on another level. I go, I'm warming up, pal. I had 4 jars.
Oh, one sitting.
Yeah. I was sick for a good 16 hours. Did not feel great. But I tell you this, I stayed off peanut butter for a minute after that. It was like, yeah.
Oh, that's my go-to snack. But I'm thinking, all right, I need to start doing something like that in the morning. Yeah, I would absolutely try that.
Yeah, we'll send it to you. Easy. I'll get it and send it to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I love that we're on here now and I'm spending his money. I love
that. Well, we'll plug it. Come on. We'll pay it forward somehow.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, cool. And you've been so gracious with your time. Let me ask you this, because this is something that I feel like you might have a unique insight into. I'm always so interested in how people, and again, when we talk about success or this pursuit of excellence, not doesn't need to be financial, but you work with people who are operating at like the highest level in so many different fields. In working with all of these different folks, like, are there any kind of like common traits of success or excellence that have just kind of, become obvious over the years and working with all of these highly successful people?
Yeah, there are. And I try to emulate the minute I see when I'm aware enough to identify them, I immediately poach and put it and go, I'm doing that. So what I see is the highest of the highs do all their own scheduling. as a rule. Sometimes if there's a flurry of things going on, you may have to go through an assistant because there are too many moving parts in their life. And while they may want to commit to tomorrow at 11, they can't because they have to be somewhere doing something else. So, but other than that, they pretty much text on their own. It's the people just, let's call them below title, that you go through a handler or a manager or an assistant, and you're like, okay, but the top ones text you right back and just crush it. And it's great. It makes my job easier. It means they're going to get more of what they want because it's bang, bang, bang executed. The other thing is they don't leave texts and phone calls unreturned, even if they just write back, sorry, missed this. We'll catch up tomorrow. And I don't take that, again, right, for agreements. I don't take that personally. I go, got it. I'll be seeing them tomorrow. They don't need to sit doing whatever they're doing in their already too busy lives to text me back and explain why they didn't get back to me. They're going to tell me tomorrow. I'm going to have them captive audience for an hour. They are also rarely late, and they probably have the lowest cancellation rate. The people who cancel the most, in my experience, again, focus group of one, are the people that have, there's what's that, my mom used to say it, if you want something done, ask a busy person. So I see that with the workouts. The people that are the busiest are the ones who manage to get in and knock it out week after week after week. So we have a saying in our house with the kids: never late, never cancel, never quit. And someone said to me once, "Oh, you can't. That's a ridiculous thing to live up to. That's putting so much pressure." I said, "Hold on. I don't expect them to live up to it. I expect that to be the mantra that plays in their head every time they consider doing one of those things. And with that playing as your background music, you're less likely to do it, or you're going to do it less often at the very least." I'm not looking for a perfect record here, but what I'm looking for is you're late 1 out of 100 times versus 10 out of 100, right? You cancel one thing versus 4 things this week. And you quit nothing. Seriously, let's just not quit. Let's just see it through.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
Yeah. So I see that with the highest achievers, the top of the top. So I'll give you some numbers to work with.
Yeah,
because
please.
you brought this up. I would say it's fair to say that the people I work with are all in that category. I just don't have not high achievers. They just, over time, they filter. It filters itself out, right? It's like it finds its own natural level, and you realize I'm probably not the right guy for you, and I realize you're not the right person for me, and who realizes it first? It's not a competition, but then they just kind of go away. There's never anything awkward. A trainer can't fire a client. That's a misnomer. You can't fire someone who hired you. That just means you're insecure and you want to try to flex, and you really have nowhere to flex. But I have over the last, I've been keeping records on computer of all the workouts and all the billing and all that stuff I've done this for 30 years. I've kept those records for 26 years on computer. Before that, I kept them because I'm OCD. It's just like in a little spiral notebook. Over the last 25 years, my cancellation rate was something like 8.07%. So 8% cancellation. That means 92% attendance, right? That's great. I mean, that's not, I'm not speaking about me. I'm saying good for those people. You guys made 92% of your workouts. That's an A. And I mean, maybe not somebody that's an A minus, look, that's great. Last year, I finished the year at 5%. So either the people are getting better, or I'm doing something better, or we're all hitting our stride and realizing that I need them, they need me, and this is all working or whatever. This year, and I know we're 6 weeks in, so pump the brakes. I just saw it today, and it's at like 3.48%, so 3.5%. And I don't expect it to last. I was shocked when last year was so low, but great. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
So,
well, and you said this kind of earlier. I mean,
and that's credit to them, by the way. I'm saying, and this is not faux humility, this is credit to them. They got in the car, drove to me, trained.
Well, and to your point, like a workout, when you start looking through your day of like, okay, for most people, it's like, hey, what do I perceive as critical and where can I start cutting things out? Like I can see how a workout for a lot of folks is like what gets kicked to the, the curb.
Yeah.
But to your point, like what I hear with that too, is it's like that commitment, making it a priority. Right.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if it's determination or persistence or what, but like I can see how that measure alone becomes like really, really important in understanding a lot about that individual, your clientele.
I knew a kid who was a trainer years ago. He's out of the business now. And he told me at one point that he had about a 50% cancellation rate. And he goes, I don't care. They all pay. And I said, but okay, I hear that, table that. It's not about that. That's not why you're in the job. And I'm not saying you're in the job because, you're Mr. Altruism and you really, want everybody to benefit and you're trying to help people. Okay, fine, to whatever. That's a percentage of it. But,
Yeah.
And then there's a percentage of you're earning a living, fair. But there should be a percentage where you take pride in the fact that they enlist you to do this and then they follow through or they see the value in it such that they don't consider canceling it. I like that. I want those people because I don't cancel them.
Yeah.
I just don't do that. I don't call you and say, hey, I know we're scheduled for 3 today, but I can't, something came up. That's just not me.
Yeah.
It's not me. I had a dog die a number of years back and I got the call and I have big dogs. I have mastiffs. So, it's literally, it's not something you can hide. It's like a dead person. It's a massive 170-pound animal that's dead and you wrap it in a sheet and you get poor guy. I have to take him to the vet and everything. But I said, all right, I can get home at 3:30. They're like, what? What do you mean you do? A, I'm not a vet. B, he's dead. I can't. But I'm not going to cancel my clients for that. And you could say, oh, you're heartless. I'm not heartless. Those people are planning this for their day. I've done that. It's not going to change anything if I go and take the dog to the vet at 3:30 or if I take the dog to the vet now at 10:45. It's not going to do anything. So, if they're committing, how can I not commit?
Yeah. No, you're right. And it's the other word that comes to mind too is like follow through. And, now, I mean, thinking back on, what you said when I asked you at the very beginning, what sets you apart, it's like relentlessness, the refusal to quit.
Not quitting.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you this last question. I think I just said that, but if you don't mind, I love watching all the stuff that you do with your own workouts. It's awesome to see all the different ways that you're training and a lot of, like I said, the innovative stuff and, the different, I don't even know what you would call it, like implements that you're pulling into your workouts. For you, fitness wise, like what are your goals? Are you focused on performance? Are you thinking about longevity? Like, what is like the focus for you when you're going into the gym on a day-to-day basis?
So the short answer is yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's wrap it up.
Performance, longevity, all that. The other answer is what I'm doing in the gym. Look, let's not all pretend like saying that we want to look good is a bad, shallow, narcissistic thing. We are a visual society. You are bombarded with pictures of people and video of people with great physiques, whether it's literally in the background now on certain commercials and shows. The people are shredded. Vacation destinations. And I've been to some of those places. Like the people on the beach are shredded. You go, I didn't see that guy there. Like I've been to some of those places and not everybody there not every woman was a supermodel. Not every dude was jacked. It's just not, but So we are a visual society, right? It's on the sides of buses. It's on billboards. It's everywhere. And I know they use more air quotes, normal people now in advertising than they ever have, but still visually, that's important. I was a fat kid, so I gauge how I feel, how I look. So looks are a factor. Performance is a factor. I train so that I can do what I do during a day. I still see 6, 7 people every single day. I can't train in a way that when I go to show you a lateral kettlebell drifting lunge and I push the kettlebell way out, I can't risk that, I tear an adductor showing you that. So I have to train in a way that allows me to show that. And then if I'm doing that move with anybody else, or if I'm doing something else later in the day, I can't risk that when I showed you that at 8, that at 2, that rears its head and I have a new injury. So
Mm.
performance for me, oh, you're not
Yeah.
an athlete. You are. Life's life's a sport. Everybody's an athlete if you look at it like that.
Yeah.
So performance, longevity. I like what I do for a living. I'm not
Mm.
trying to get out of the gym. I'm not trying to retire and tap out. I like doing this.
Right.
I take new people when they pop up and when schedules mesh. So I want to I want the longevity, I want the performance, I want the looks, and I want everything I do when I come home, whether it's with my wife or whether it's with my kids, older or younger kids. I want to be able to be a participant and not just on the sideline. So that's how I
Mm.
train. And I try new stuff and different stuff. And whether it's my cardio or my strength, I play with stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
all of it.
No, I love that. Well, and the longevity piece is so interesting for me too, because I've come to this realization. It's like I have some big ambitious goals, and to your point, like again, not everything's financial, but I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish, and I'm like, man, I just wish I had more time in the day because I'm so excited about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, listen, I would probably be better served if I really focused on a couple of these things at once, and maybe I just extend the amount of time that I have to get a lot of these things done. So I mean, for me, that's where a lot of these questions come from. It's like an excitement about wanting to get stuff done. And so it's like, how do I keep myself in a way where I can continue to perform for a longer amount of time?
So two things, and this as the
Yeah.
older guy on the podcast, and I bring that up only because you did a number of times. There's a guy named Ray Cash Care on
Okay.
Instagram, former SEAL, terrific guy, great guy, sharp, out of his mind as you would expect,
Yeah.
and I lost my train of thought. But Ray talks about putting out, right? You have to just put out to be part of this. You have to give the effort and do that. You can't wade in, right? And if you're not doing that the whole time, you're never ever gonna see how far you can go. And then he talks about another thing of cutting out the one person, and you may have more than one, that's dragging you down. And he says those people are sucking up your time, which comes back to what we spoke about time.
Yeah.
You can't replace it. And he goes, look hard at your circle. And he said, it may be a family member. And he goes, I'm sorry if it is. It's tough, but cut them out. And he goes, don't wait. Don't wait till you see them on the weekend. Don't do it slowly. Don't try to ease away. Cut them out. And when he came and spoke at my house to my kids, and I was like, whoa, that's rough, but he's not wrong. I didn't learn that till a few years ago, and I'm a slow learner, but he's so right. Cut those people out, the ones who don't want you to go to the gym or the ones who want you to do something you shouldn't do, or cut those people out because they're cutting into, like you said, you have things you want to do, but you have a finite amount of time. How are you going to do those? How are you going to reach your goals, lofty or not? You got somebody holding you, even if they're just pulling you a little bit, right? Watch a basketball game, that little jersey hold. Watch a football game, that little jersey hold. Maybe that's not a huge infraction. Maybe that's not a personal foul, but that's a penalty, man. You can't do that. You're holding that guy back. So if you have those people, cut them out. I had a guy on our strength staff with the Lakers last year, Ed Strite. Terrific guy. He was head strength coach at UConn and Dayton. He had worked with the Bulls. We were so lucky at the Lakers to land him in the training department, in the strength and conditioning department. And Ed would lift with me on the road and sometimes at my gym here during the season, off season. Hey, I have 25 years on him. I mean, it's like, Ed, you're lifting with your grandpa. But we would go to these places and he'd go, you want to deadlift today? You want to squat today? And I'd go, yeah. Now, stronger than I am, some things way stronger, but the fact that I'm game, that keeps me young. So surrounding yourself with those people who push you, that's not in my normal training protocol, right? I'm not max out deadlifts on Tuesday when I know I got a full week ahead of me, whether it's Lakers or Lakers plus my own clients or whatever it is. But I'm doing that because I'm evolving, I'm growing, I'm getting better by working with guys who are trying to get better. And I look at that and putting people like that around you set you up for success. And again, they don't have to be billionaires. They don't have to be top in the world. They're good, solid people with good, solid values who push themselves to be better. I want to be around those people all the time.
Yeah. Oh man. That might be where we end it. I think that's some good, dare I say, sage life advice. No, man, that's all. Well, you know what, too, and I will say this. There is a real cost in terms of time and energy when you're dealing with someone who's just, and I don't mean holding you back because they can't keep up, but someone who's just a drag. Either it's a negative influence or constantly taking more than they're giving back. And I think to your point, like it's really hard for people to cut those types of folks out of their life.
But you have to look at that from 10,000 feet and you have to say, okay, she's in a tough spot now. She is pulling me down now. My God, every time I get on the phone with this guy, he's such a downer. But then you have to go, that's because they're going through this now in the macro cycle of their life. Of your relationship with them, they've been great for X amount of time. If they're going through a down period, you don't cut them off then. That's not cool. But if you look back and you'll know who they are immediately. When he said this, we were sitting outside and all COVID protocols were being observed. We were all separate and there were like 12 of us and Ray was speaking to us and he goes, you know who they are. And he paused and he looked at all of us and he goes, you're thinking about him right now. And I was like, oh my God, get out of my head. Yes, I know. There's always one person who's doing that to you. And they probably don't mean it. And they're probably not bad people. But if you're trying to achieve these lofty goals, you say, you just can't afford that. You cannot afford that.
Yeah, it's great advice. I'm gonna link to I'll look him up and I'll link to him in the show notes as well. But
link to him, link to Ed Strite, great people, and both would probably be solid guests. Not to cast your show.
Man, no, that would be amazing.
Would probably be solid guests on your show, and your listeners would benefit from hearing them. And you're going to get different ages, different world experiences, but both bring a lot of good, don't make me tear up, just a lot of good heart to the table. And I love people like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. No, and I wish someone would cast my show for me. So this is incredibly helpful. Well, awesome. Gunnar, man, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you taking the time. I mean, we talked about everything that you're fitting into your day. So I think people are going to take a lot away from this one. A lot of lessons learned for sure. And again, man, just thank you. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate your reaching out and making something work and let me know. And when you promote this and plug this, tag me and we'll do the same from this end.